It's time to go boots in space at GFS Olympus. Gonna be honest, the way the game opens up, I almost thought I was playing a welded version of Doom 3. It even has the whole being scanned process. It's pretty much an introduction level, a bit like the Space Pirate Frigate, only there's no combat at all unless you decide to harass the staff and want to get nuked by security. The action does get started later on, and it does technically have a boss, but perhaps by necessity it's pretty shallow. However, I will give it credit for having good plot beats, like introducing the Giga Chad that is Admiral Dane, and Gandreda cheekily looking like Samus was pretty funny. That being said, it's not that much of a map on its own right, it's a little slow to get going and there's no depth at all, it's basically a narrative and plot-driven space. It's time to feel the rust in GFS Valhalla! This is the mandatory find the things to reach the end that Retro Studios apparently has to include in every one of their Metroid games, this time being an entire ship that was overtaken. It actually ties into the lore because the pirates had taken the Aurora unit and would have done the same to Olympus if not for Samus and also the other bounty hunters, I guess. There's not too much to say about it, you pretty much just shove the big batteries into every hole you find to power up enough of the ship's stuff to get to your goal. If you know where to go, you can get away with less batteries, but unless you've played the game before or you looked it up, you filthy cheater, just kidding, it can be a little trial and error. It's definitely got atmosphere, you see husks of troops crumbling into dust just like in Super Metroid, but it's pretty much just there to be a collectible hunt, so I'm not too thrilled about it. It's time to corrupt the corrupted in Phaaze. This is pretty much the Impact creator of corruption, it's just a straight line for the most part to the bosses and it isn't meant to be all that complex from an exploratory angle. To its credit though, it ratchets things up from the beginning with Samus being overwhelmed and having to literally vent all of her energy tanks to keep from dying and you're stuck in hyper mode. It becomes a race against the clock, where you ironically are trying to keep your tanks as empty as possible. Good thing the local wildlife conveniently has anti-phazon pickups. You don't fight Dark Samus multiple times like in Echoes, but thankfully it compensates for it by having a pretty heart-thumping fight here, not to mention the Aurora unit fight. Only a shame it's so linear, the origin of Phazon looks pretty alien and cool from what you see, and exploring it would have been dope, but it's still tense, atmospheric, and has some great boss fights. It's time to burn up in Norion. It sort of feels like an extension of the previous area because it's almost as linear as it was, or at least the first time you visit. This second time around, to its credit, does have a bit more to do, like a few secrets and a battle with a Metroid hatcher to get an energy cell. The plot beats are also pretty memorable, like Dark Samus appearing in the shaft fight with Meta Ridley is just a peak boss fight. Even has a moment of intrigue with galactic troops making use of Phazon-powered suits to really rip into some pirates, foreshadowing you getting one yourself. For the most part though, it feels like it's more establishing the plot than being the most effective exploratory area. You're clearly there with a defined and urgent job. It's time to experience heaven in Elysia. The visual theme is easily the highlight. It's a steampunk-styled city in the clouds a la the Jetsons, what's not to love? You even get to deliver a giant bomb onto the shield. No more dealing with shield generators this time, but you still have to babysit the bomb so you don't blow it too soon. It's also where you deal with a corrupted gore and learn how to weld, which is kind of ironic that you're blasting heat on circuits to fix the damage caused by heat. The highlights are probably assembling the aforementioned giant bomb, and when you first encounter the Metroids, they really know how to play up the horror angle with a blackout. My main criticism is it has the weakest Leviathan boss, just a robot covered in space bats, but the rest of the map and the visual theme more than make up for it. It's a glorious techno future. It's time to go industrial in Bryyo. Now this is an area that really grabs life by the balls, or maybe I'm thinking of Moganar who grabs balls to restore its life, gotta bust its balls to beat it. This is where it actually starts feeling like a Metroid game with mostly pure exploration, though Samus still has voices in her head telling her what to do. On the subject of insanity, this is where you learn the other bounty hunters lost themselves to the Phazon and you have to fight Rundus, and it's actually pretty sad because I liked him. Wasn't the biggest fan of taking down the shield generator, mostly because you have to pull down some levers and space pirates will yoink them back up, but it's over pretty fast. Being the first to actually start feeling like Metroid and having some boss upgrades like ship missiles and the saddest boss fight in the game, frankly there's no competition. It's time to make new stiffs in Pirate Homeworld. Given their status as pirates, it's interesting to think that they actually have a homeworld, and the harsh technological theme mixed with acid rain actually kind of fits for them. Naturally, this is also where you face the corrupted Gandreda in case you thought any of them were surviving this, and she ominously looks like Samus in death to say this could happen to you. It's the pirate homeworld, so of course the Leviathan boss is Ridley, and you beat him the same way as the first game by breaking his heart and not by rejecting him as a boyfriend. It also takes Samus's big suit shoulders to its logical conclusion with a hazard shield, which makes those things absolutely massive, that's what she said. With plenty of action, such as escorting demolition troops and plenty of space pirates to kill, this area very much excels both visually and in terms of gameplay. Gotta love it when you can have both. It's time for Admiral Dane to file an overview report. Starting with what I didn't like, it feels more pushed along and linear than the past two games, though it's still far more exploratory and open than Fusion or especially Other M. The first two areas shove you in a straight line and you don't get any freedom in them until a return visit to the second one, longer to really find its footing than the past two games. Now as for what I do like, it revolutionized the shooting compared to the GameCube originals, and whipping into hyper mode and blowing enemies away is very satisfying. Dark Samus was especially gratifying as a boss fight, as was the shaft fight with Ridley genuinely being one of my favorites. When you get down to it, it's a more action and plot focused Metroid, but at least it still feels like Metroid and still gives you some room to explore, so I'd recommend it.